think you're broken, but you're strong, and right where you belong. No second guessing. It's hard to know what you feel when nothing seems real, and we're all stressing. I beg and I plead for sweet salvation. It comes at such a cost. I think of all we found and lost. I can't stop thinking. Oh, I can't stop thinking. I think about it. Think about it. I walking in the woods, listing coulds and shoulds for inspiration. The trees have got it right. We should lean into the light.
I know you. There you are.
Sign language?
I know you, this guy.
I know you too.
Where are you tuning in from?
I'm in Superior, Wisconsin.
All right, my man. Here we are, live on YouTube.
Our host just froze.
I don't think this was how it was supposed to start, but you know us. We can spin a good yarn. We can chat for a while.
Can you spin a yarn?
I don't know, but I'm glad that everybody's tuning in to have a pre-release online listening party with our friend Ellen. She will pop up soon, and it'll be much, much better than this, because you guys have probably seen our faces on Zoom many times. Now we're on YouTube.
That's right.
So it's a little bit more,
it's
kind of bigger deal. It's a bigger deal. So what do you think we should let everybody know now, I think, which Ellen will get to. This Friday is the official international worldwide release.
And what does that mean, Court?
Well, international and worldwide are probably that's a little bit redundant, don't you think?
Planetarily, it's universally. It will universally be available. It'll be available on iTunes, Amazon,
Spotify.
It'll be on Spotify. Yes, it's universal.
All the internets.
All planets can tune in.
And like you posted earlier on Facebook, we will humble brag our way through this hour, talking about.
Well, if it stays like this, we better get really creative.
Should I brought an instrument? Should we sing a couple a cappella for them? What do you think?
Probably not. I think I am going to let people know that we're going to be back in just a few minutes while Ellen gets things together. So I'm going to mute myself and see what happens. We'll be right back, folks. broken, but you're strong, right where you belong. No second guessing. It's hard to know what you feel. Nothing seems real. We're all stressing. I beg and I plead for sweet salvation. It comes at such a cost. I think of all we found and lost. I can't stop thinking. Oh, I can't stop thinking. I think about it. Think about it. I'm walking in the woods, listing coulds and shoulds for inspiration. The trees have got it right. We should lean into the light. I can't stop thinking. Oh, I can't stop thinking. Think about it.
Hello.
And we're back.
And we're back. And I apologize. We had a temporary glitch, and hopefully we'll get everything back on track. And hello to everyone out there. And so great to see you all here. And while my computer gets fired up, I have my iPad here. So luckily we have lots of ways to connect with you all out there. Sorry about the rocky beginning, but thank you all for sticking with us. My name is Mother Banjo, and my intention was to be your host, but really Jinx and Court have this covered. So we're happy to have you both
We
here.
need you. We need you.
So badly, obviously. So badly.
We are so happy to have you here. And let's see, we have Lucas joining us, Mike and Jen too from Superior, Connie from Western Colorado. We have Kent from Orlando, and so many folks joining us today. So thank you. This is, if you just tuned in, this is the Moors McCumber listening party. And we will get things going so that we can listen appropriately. And so that song we were just listening to, that was a track from the new record, right, guys?
Yeah, that one's called Lean Into the Light. It's the first track on the new album. And yeah, it's uplifting. It's our European disco number.
Yeah, well, before we came on, Mike, Court was saying that he wishes he had his disco ball for that song.
For that one, I do. I need stage lights, disco ball. I think that's one, when we play that live with the band, James and I will be wearing tracksuits.
Excellent. And we're going to talk more about your live shows you have coming up and how this album is going to translate into that. But first, I would just love, this new album, Survival, comes out Friday. That's one of the tracks from it. As folks might have heard, has a different feel than some of your previous records.
Yeah, most people would know us playing, when we play our shows, it's the two of us and we don't have a band with us. But once we're in the studio, it's a lot of fun to play with different instruments and different production ideas. And you'll get to meet Patrick later this hour, and he has some wonderful ideas. And so we all just kind of shared different notions and different ideas. And he had a lot of great loops and beats that we put on stuff. And then we had some awesome musicians who added some more to it, and we just thought, let's see where these songs can go. So
I think the exciting thing with this record and working with Patrick is James and I have always connected. We have complementary strengths and we overlap all in the right places, and then you add somebody like Patrick, so it's like I can just see this, I guess what would be called the Venn diagram. What are those yeah. So it's like I I'm over here, James is over here, Patrick's over here, and we all meet in the middle and bring each different strengths, but we also, look at music the same way. So we're all right here in the middle, and then we can branch out. So when you're in the studio, that can either be very dangerous or very productive. And the times we've worked with Patrick has been magic. So
Yeah,
we're gonna keep doing that with him, because I think it's one of those perfect. I can just see that in my brain right now of how where we all line up right in the middle to make this music together.
Yeah, and it sounds great. And I want to encourage folks to, again, throw comments, questions as we go tonight in the comments. We're going to try and get to as many of them as we can once we get all back up and running again. And because we kind of rushed into our intros, I forgot to say, again, my name is Mother Banjo, Ellen Stanley, and I've known James McCourt for a while. We've played together before, and it's a real treat for them to invite me to host this. I realize you don't know me, most of you, but but I'm a big fan of James McCourt's, and it's a real treat for me to be here. I'm joining you from Minneapolis tonight, where my tech situation rapidly deteriorated, but we're getting back on track. And James joining us from his hometown in Superior, Wisconsin, and Moors McCumber from Goldsville, Colorado. And you guys, are you guys drinking anything yet, or is it a little too early for you guys?
No,
I'm drinking this luxurious sparkling water. It's delicious.
I'm having malted barley in water.
Excellent.
It's a survival pre-listening party. I mean,
That's right.
And let's see if I.
There she is.
there's two of her.
There's two of me. Not anymore. Now there's just one of me. Hopefully. Okay. Are we back on track? Nope.
We just have a little echo on your voice, but now you've got the good mic.
I just think this is a perfect start for Moors McCumber, really. The record is called Survival.
That's right.
We have put.
That's what we're dealing with here, folks. We're all surviving.
Few things out into the universe with certain song titles and lyric choices.
Yeah.
Okay. Are we all back now? Any feedback loop?
Nope,
No,
it sounds like it's
good
fixed.
now.
Okay. Thank you for bearing with me today. And normally this runs like a smooth ship, right, guys?
Yes, it always does.
Well, we are going to try and queue up some of these songs so that folks can take a listen to this new record.
Awesome.
And the first song we have queued up is What Would Love Do Now? And maybe while I get it queued up, if one of you wants to talk a little bit about maybe the genesis of this song.
Yeah, this was probably, with the exception of I've Held On, this is probably the song that we first wrote, and it started coming in maybe November of 2018, something like that. We were out east, and it was something I overheard a friend say, just the comment, "What would love do now?" And it's one of those songwriter moments where you write that down and you don't forget it, and you put it in your back pocket and you think something's gonna take this away, and then it certainly did, and we've been playing that at shows for a couple of years now, and we knew we wanted to go make a new record, and that was kind of the anchor song that we had, that we knew we were going to build around it. Yep.
And those moments happen when somebody says something to James. If he disappears from a gathering, people are like, "Is James okay?" I'm like, "No, he's fine. He's probably writing a song." So that was, I knew that something good happens when he kind of ghosts in those situations, because usually the next morning or late that night, he's like, "What do you think about this?" I'm like, "Yeah, let's work on that one." So that was the cornerstone for this album for sure.
Yep.
Excellent. Well, let's try and give it a listen right now. What Would Love Do Now?
When you've been knocked down, punched in the chest, and it's hard to breathe. Well, you were so in love, you gave it your best. Now it's time to leave. And now you're all alone on a tarnished throne, and wondering how. Start asking yourself, what would love do now? What would love do now when the skies are all gray? What would love do now when you're trying to find your way? Through the middle of the night, sleep your mind will not allow. Start asking yourself, what would love do now? When you hit rock bottom, do you come back up? What would love do now? Or do you linger a while in the deep end? What would love do now? And when you're telling yourself that the weight of the water feels good somehow, what would love do now? Start asking yourself, what would love do now? What would love do now when the skies are all gray? What would love do now when you're trying to find your way? Through the middle of the night, sleep your mind will not allow. Start asking yourself, what would love do now? What would love do now? When it seems the darkest and your feet get cold, what would love do now? And when you tell yourself that you're getting old, what would love do now? And when the going gets tough, wipe the sweat from your brow, what would love do now? Keep asking yourself, what would love do now? What would love do now when the skies are all gray? What would love do now when you're trying to find your way? Through the middle of the night, sleep your mind will not allow. Keep asking yourself, what would love do now? Yeah. Keep asking yourself, what would love do now? What would love, 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 love do now? What would love, 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 love do now? What would love, 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 love do now? What would love, 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 what would love do now?
All right. Yes. Waiting for those last drum beats there. Again, that was Moors and McCumber with What Would Love Do Now. And from the new record that comes out this Friday, folks are really excited about that. I can tell in the comments.
That was
And
us, huh? That sounds
yeah,
good.
sounds real good. And that song also has a video for it, which was released not too long ago. Anything you want to say about that?
Yep, we've actually got a couple videos, I think, if I'm not mistaken, a live one, and this is the first time we've ever done any sort of music video, official music video. And what's so great about the release date that we picked was it gave us months to kind of do this stuff and get these things done and out into the world. We've always been so consumed with touring and, hot new record off the press, you want to get out on the road and play it for people, but I think the pandemic was bittersweet in that it gave us time to do the things we always talked about doing, and that was one of them. So we've got some videos out there, and yeah, just lots of ways to talk about the music and get it out there to more people.
Wonderful. And speaking of getting the music out to more people, Frederick asks, will there be a songbook with this album?
If Court gets his way, there certainly will be. We're in negotiations right now.
James got vinyl. Usually the
Yep.
negotiation works like this. James says, I want vinyl. I'm like, great, we'll do a songbook too. We're going to do some, I think song by song, Fred, is kind of the idea. Have them available as PDFs, but we'll see. We might end up compiling all of them in one group as well. But you'll be one of the first to know, because I know that you've been sharing our music with your group there in Southern Maryland for many years, and we appreciate it, man. Thanks.
Yeah, we sure do.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thanks all for tuning in. Again, if you just joined us, this is the Moors McCumber Survival pre-release listening party. We're getting a taste of the new album that comes out Friday. My name is Mother Banjo. I am your host now that I'm back online, and we're so happy to have you here. Again, the idea of this is that we play the songs for you, we talk about them, we answer your questions. So if you're in the comments, definitely throw your comments, your questions our way, and we'll try and get to as many of them as we can, like Frederick's. And Marty says, this must have been a response to What Would Love Do Now? Love the song from Midway, Utah. Well, thank you so much for that. And speaking of guests and people joining us, I hear that we have a special guest who helped
Yes, we
work on
do.
this record. So we
Yeah.
want to introduce him?
Sure, I'll introduce him. Our trusted producer and good friend, Patrick Conway. Patrick was with us on the Acrobats album and recorded that and mixed it. And little did we know, I mean, he had some production ideas, but when we were getting ready to make this record, we were talking a lot about different producers. And then I saw an Instagram post of Patrick's where he had some backing tracks to a bit of a video that he had done for some contest. And I asked if he had made those tracks, and he did, and it was exactly what we were kind of looking for, was some backing vibe to what we were creating. So we asked him right away if he would consider doing another record, and thankfully he said yes. So. And
he said yes to coming on and joining us tonight. So let's invite him on here.
Just get that mute button ready.
Hello.
There he is, the one and only.
Doesn't he look like a producer?
He does. He has yeah. He's got the headphones. He has like a comfy looking couch and a keyboard.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, it looks very professional there.
No, I just set that up for the video.
So Patrick, you're joining us from Austin, Texas tonight. And
I am.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about how you approached getting these songs ready for this record.
Well, the story is a little bit different. They didn't know that I was actually passive aggressively trying to get the production gig and was just sending stuff in their universe to try to make it happen.
And planting seeds.
Yeah. And people don't even realize that last song was the reason. What Would Love Do Now? You wait till the world hears the other version that's going to be produced, that's in my head right now, that's got a 14-piece choir backing it. It's a gospel choir, but the pandemic didn't allow us to do that. But
we'll get there.
Yeah.
I remember we did a sessions from Blue Rock Live, which is in Wimberley, Texas. The studio we recorded this was Blue Rock Artist Ranch and Studio. And back in 2018, I believe, we did a stripped down version of just James and I. And Patrick, you were the engineer for that. And I do remember right after that, you're like, oh my God, let's take this song and really produce it. And then obviously fast forward a few years and we got to work on an entire record with you. But I think what was really exciting for James and I is we all started talking to you about what kind of stuff we were listening to. James and I had just gotten done finishing the Daniel Lanois book and talking about Daniel Lanois and Brian Eno. And for the people out there listening in, those are two guys that have done a ton of stuff with U2 and the Neville Brothers and Sinead O'Connor, and I mean multiple things of atmospheric music and soundtrack stuff. And James and I are kind of just really drawn to that. And all of a sudden Patrick's like, that's all I've been listening to lately. And we're like, wow, this is the perfect combination of let's not worry about just making another folk record. We can always go out and play these songs, just the two of us. But if we could, if we can do this stuff in the studio, why not take it to a different space and see what can happen? And Patrick was the guy that had that skill. Like I was saying earlier, we all meet up skill wise, but then we all have these other things that were really complementary. And I just thought it was like, I can't do what Patrick does. I can't do what James does. And it kind of it all made sense in those ways, but then we all can do the similar things. And my favorite part of it in the studio was we all would be like, wow, that's a really cool guitar part. Who did that? And Patrick would be like, that was you, Cord. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Or James would be like, I love that guitar part. Patrick, did you do it? And Patrick would be like, no, James, that was you. And so that kind of always, that happened throughout the 10 days because the three of us did a really good job of, which was not easy for some of us, me, leaving ego at the door and just coming in and being humbled by the experience of working with better musicians. And I love that.
Yeah, I listened to the record now. I'm pretty sure you did replace all of our parts, but thank you because you played wonderfully.
It's actually a product of the pandemic and the way it was made. You guys, I guess my role on it was as the referee. When you've got a duo with equally talented songwriters and entities that have their ideas of what Moors and McCumber are. What my hope to do was to be the referee in the middle, to take the best of both of the ideas and not let any egos get in the way, and then make the best thing that we could present to the world. And I think that's why it worked really well. And then the distance of songwriting and putting the pieces together was an interesting element to how this record happened. I don't know if you guys want to talk more about how that happened, and then coming together at Blue Rock in January with a lot of things communicated about and thought about and even played.
What's the next song we're going to do? Are we going to play the title track, Ellen?
Yep. Yeah, that's next.
So that's a great one to talk about. That was a song. I had some lyrics in two different things that weren't going really anywhere past my notebook, and Court and I were staying at a friend of ours offered me her mountain cabin out in Colorado to stay in for a week and to work on songs. And I'm sorry, we worked on this one in Minnesota. I think we were in a place up here in northern Minnesota in Carlton, and we had these different elements and nothing really happening, and we started just playing and picking things apart, and then some stuff started happening and we each started crying, and we knew we were on to something. The lyrics were really moving us, and just the emotions and the rawness of it.
Yeah.
But I was just going to say that what we were doing with the writing was we were recording bits and pieces at home in our home studios, and we were sending those pieces to Patrick. And then and we were doing those to click tracks so that we could take things in and out and add things, and they would all be in time and they would all be synced up, and we could work from those references. And we did that over and over and over. And then when we got to Blue Rock with Patrick, we had the structural elements or the skeleton of a lot of these songs in place. So it was really fun. We got to then just sort of juggle and play together. And that's when the magic just really started shooting off the walls, I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna get some photos too that we're gonna see from the studio where you recorded, so folks can get a picture of when you did come together, what it was like. But before you do that, I want to make sure we get in enough music so that folks can get a taste of what we're talking about and the song that you were just talking about, Survival. So do you want to give it a listen right now, and then we can chat more about it? Okay.
Sometimes you're on the right side, sometimes you're in the dark. Comes at you from the TV set, comes at you from the friends that you never met. What you need is love, a chance to rest your mind. Love's working overtime. Survival, survival. Reaching out with a helping hand, taking time to make a stand. Oh, 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 oh. And when the leaves are turning brown, nothing but ashes fall into the ground. When everything is crowding in and your patience is growing thin, love's working overtime. Survival, survival. Oh, 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 survival. What we need is love, a chance to rest our minds when everything is crowding in and your patience is growing thin. What you need is love, a chance to rest your mind. Love's working overtime. Survival, survival. Oh, 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 oh. Survival, survival, survival. Oh, 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 oh. Survival, 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 survival. Oh, 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 oh. Survival, survival.
Beautiful stuff. That is Moors McCumber from their forthcoming record, Survival, the title track. And folks loving that song. And, you know, I know that Court has a nice high voice and you guys layered on lots of vocals, but I do think there's some other voices on there, if I'm not mistaken.
I can't do all those higher ones. That's not really my range, those other ones.
So, yeah, tell us who else is singing on that.
Patrick, take it away.
That's the wonderful Austin, Texas artist Erin Ivy and Katie Marie, two fantastically talented women that live down here in Texas, who are artists on their own and have records and things out. And we were just very fortunate that they were available to us to do that. So
yeah. So how many other folks contributed to this record? I know that obviously, as you said, you all recorded parts and you layered on stuff, but how many other musicians came in to record stuff down in Wimberley?
So along with Katie Marie singing on that, she also played percussion drums on that one, along with drum loop stuff that happened. We had another Texas-based drummer named Dee Stribling, who's a fantastic musician on the record. Some good friends of theirs from Ireland played on the record.
The Fiddle Case, a band called The Fiddle Case, out of Liscannor.
We leaned heavy on Patrick for what we thought some of these songs should have production-wise, and so when he suggested Erin Ivy singing and Katie Marie to play percussion and sing and Dee to play drums, we were like, whatever, man. We trust your take on it, because obviously we know that Austin area has the best musicians in the world, so why not lean on them? And then to lean on our friends in Ireland, which another place that has the best musicians in the world. It's kind of, we got really fortunate and really lucky that it all worked out, especially during the pandemic. I mean, it was something else that we were able to record remotely, and then to get together in the studio for 10 days with Patrick. And we probably, what did we put in, guys? 100 and something hours, right?
I think
we would work from 10 in the morning, and sometimes we'd be
days.
skipping back to the guest cabin at 2 a.m. just absolutely so excited about what we had been working on. So
And
something.
I'm so glad you mentioned the guest cabin because for folks who don't know Blue Rock, it's an amazing setup. It's called Blue Rock Artist Ranch and Studio, has this amazing state of the art studio, but it also has beautiful grounds, one of the prettiest views around. And the fact that you guys were in the studio the whole day and didn't, get out to enjoy this amazing spot, it just goes to show how into the record you guys really were. And actually have some photos if you want to take a look, if folks are curious.
Absolutely.
I think record making was split between horseshoes.
Yeah, we did play some horseshoes.
But not horseshoes in the studio, right?
No,
No,
That sounds
no.
dangerous. Yeah.
that's dangerous.
We kept that away from the instruments.
Yeah. Keep the sand away from the mics.
That's right.
That's what Patrick taught me.
I think after you show these photos, this is a good time to bring in our other friend that actually was integral in making this all happen. Is why we were able to record at Blue Rock.
Why we're here today.
Our executive producer. So,
Well, let's get these going. And I'll try and make this as big as I can. But this is for those techie folks out there. This is a pretty state-of-the-art board. Is there anything you want to say briefly about it, Patrick? Because I'm sure you could talk about it all day. But
This is a Rupert Neve designed board. The Rupert Neve is the godfather of mixing consoles, and we lost him this past year. But he was also a neighbor of the studio. The owner of the studio, Billy Crockett, has impeccable taste and just has put together an amazing facility with all of the right gear. And this console is part of it. It's a very musical console, and every bit the sound of the record, or contributed to the sound of the record. So,
and here we have Court and James making difficult decisions. I can
Difficult
tell.
decisions.
You're probably actually about to order food, right? It's just like
I don't think you can order food down there.
Yeah.
But I'm sure we were talking about something really important,
Yeah.
or looking at a golf score or something.
Okay. And this is like, look at this room with all these instruments. Are these all your instruments, or are some of these?
I think those
there?
are all quartz, right?
I think those are just chords. Mine are on the other side of the room.
Oh my goodness.
that's just one wall of mine.
Yeah,
He doesn't let anybody go over there.
James
my
has a
God.
guitar.
I had a guitar.
A guitar on the other wall.
So for those of you who don't know, Blue Rock also has this amazing performance space. So they do concerts, and during the pandemic,
They
they
do.
did live streams from there. So just the facilities at this place are just amazing. And
Yeah,
and
so
this
that's
is
the Garrison
studio.
room, they call it, right, Patrick? And that's where we did all the live tracking. So the drums were done in there, and you can see we have a station there for singing. And
All the acoustic instruments.
Yep.
Kind of back left is another room that has the grand piano, which is one of the best ones I've ever played, and a Wurlitzer keyboard that's phenomenal. The place has got everything. I probably wouldn't have had to bring anything, but I still had to drive down from Colorado and bring everything I had. But
yeah, it was actually great. Cord had recorded a bunch of great piano parts previous, but Patrick was adamant. He's like, "Well, we got to use the grand piano," and I'm so glad we did, because it really just explodes off the record, I think, in a number of places. So
Yeah.
it was worth doing.
It's
then-
those details that make it. There's
Yeah.
our wonderful drummer, Dee Stribling. Fantastic. If anybody wants to come to Texas and make a record with Dee's, he's the man to have behind the drum
make
set.
make a record with you and Deese. That's the key. Yeah.
Well, it's really great to see behind the scenes of where you guys were recording, and speaking of folks behind the scenes, I think we have someone else waiting to join us who does a lot of your work behind the scenes.
Oh.
He does. So this is our executive producer, and he's actually our manager. And Tim Smith has come into our life in the last few years and has taken a role behind the scenes, helping us do all the things that would be undone, because all this stuff, the videos, working with you here tonight, all the publicity and booking the gigs and all that stuff has to keep happening and keep rolling, even as you're writing songs and recording songs. And so we've been really blessed to have Tim Smith. So let's bring him in.
Tim.
There he is.
Hey there.
All right. We're so happy to have you joining us tonight from Houston, right?
Yep.
Excellent. And you're wearing a shirt, I think, that seems appropriate tonight. There we
Yes.
There it is.
All right.
Actually,
All right.
since I'm retired other than Moors McCumber, so my only wardrobe is Moors McCumber t-shirts and shorts.
Well, I mean, what else do you really need? And
Yeah.
at least one of the folks tuning in tonight mentioned that they're wearing their Morris McCumber shirt too. So,
Nice.
Right.
Awesome.
and maybe they all are. You know, we wouldn't know the difference. They can all say they are.
You know, after working with them for 9 days at the studio, I have actual Moors McCumber shirts that I.
I need to get those back, actually.
Yeah.
Didn't you two trade at the studio,
we-
right?
We did.
Oh, wonderful. Well, Tim, tell us something that you and I were talking about before we got on YouTube here this evening. Was we were talking about how this album, you know, like just like every Moors McCumber album has kind of a different feel, and that this sort of feels very different from the previous one. And was this something that you were expecting when they were going into the studio, or is this just a pleasant surprise?
You know, I had heard some early versions before they actually went into the studio, and so I knew it was going to be very different. And having listened to all of their records from the very beginning, if you listen to each one after the other, you can hear a big change. Every time they release a record, it's a different sound. And I was really excited about this one because I knew it would be so different from the last one, and I knew it would be really good, not just different, but good.
Yeah. Yeah. And it does have a very, very different feel. And James and Court, when you were, you know, talking with Patrick and starting to get these songs going, did you consciously make that decision to have sort of more of these different sounds and like drum loops and some more, just more layers of sound, more electronic sounds? Was that something you really mapped out, or was that something that just sort of developed through working together on this project?
I think one of the things we talked about early on in the process of this record was taking the songs apart. You know, oftentimes I would say the majority of the time I'm bringing a song that's almost finished to Court. And in early records, a lot of times Court was adding all of his expertise and musicianship to what I had already done or what we had just finished up. But on this record, we really took those things apart and we rewrote the songs from scratch. So and I think we did set our egos aside, invited Patrick in and invited other people's perspectives in to, you know, and Tim said from the start, you know, you guys should allow this thing to be big. Just, you know, do what you want to do with it. And so I think, you know, Court was really instrumental in rearranging the song ideas, and the songwriting process was much more collaborative, I think, across the board.
Yeah.
I don't expect anybody to do this, but if you listen from our first record to this newest one, every single record hints at what the next one's going to do. It really does. Like if once you start from our first record and then you hear the second one, you're like, oh, I could kind of see that happening. And so I won't go through all of those right now, but I will say if you listen to Acrobats, and it was day 2 in the studio making Acrobats with Patrick, James and I talked. We were staying at Tim's house in Wimberley, and James and I said, hey, I think we have to ask Patrick to co-produce this with us because he's adding so many ideas, and this is too good. And we knew he was a musician, and we knew he was a great engineer. We had no idea how good of a musician and producer creativity brain he had. And so when he was saying, why don't you do this? So he was taking Acrobats record and saying, okay, I know you guys tour as a duo, but why don't we try to stretch as much of your sound as we can? Court, I know you play a stomp box through a bunch of these songs. Let's take this to like the edge of what you guys could do as a duo and add a few elements for the record. And so if you listen to Acrobats, you can tell on some of those songs that where we're leading you to. And Patrick and James and I talked while we made that record. It's like, man, if we had more than 4 days, what could we have done with that record? Well, we just did Survival. So it's every record is different, but every record hints at what we're about to do.
And Yeah, and I think we're going to hear that on this next track we actually have queued up, Sugar in the Blood, because I feel like one of the things I love about this song, and I'm so glad you guys chose it to include on tonight's pre-release listening party, because it has some of those kind of rootsy elements, like the banjo, of course, which I, of course, always love hearing. But here's some banjo, and I feel like I could hear you when I'm hearing the song recorded. I could hear how you would play it live. Like it's that Moors McCumber stuff is in there, but yet there's these. It just leans into the kind of haunting elements of the lyrical component of this song really well. Is there anything else you want to say about this before we, as I cue it up?
I think the lyric speaks for itself on this one.
It does, but I'll quickly just say that this song wasn't ready. It wasn't going to be recorded that week. And Court and I sat on the back porch one of these 2 a.m. sessions, and we started singing it a cappella and stomping our feet. And then we brought it into Patrick the next night, and he's like, oh yeah. And suddenly he's got these drum loops going, and he was just, it was off to the races. So let's play it.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Patrick.
Oh, we produced it like a hip hop song, like on the fly in the studio with a banjo and a drum machine, and
as
all
you
of
do,
us, and just goosebumps with Court singing, and I don't know, it's the experience we get to have in the studio when we're making these things far surpasses the listening experience later. So,
I'm glad you said goosebumps. I'll say this really quick before we play the song. The one thing that the three of us said is the second we get goosebumps, we know we've got to take and we move on. That happened the entire process. Whenever one of us got it, we're like, got it, done. Next song.
Yep.
Well, let's take a listen to it now. This is Sugar in the Blood.
Sugar in the blood, blood on the land. Ain't no holy water gonna wash these hands. Ain't no holy water gonna wash these hands. Sugar in the blood, blood on the land. Ain't no holy water gonna wash these hands. Ain't no holy water gonna wash these hands. Sugar in the blood, blood on the land. Ain't no holy water gonna wash these hands. Ain't no holy water gonna wash these hands. We're never gonna get to see money they stole. We were taking a knee, scared to death to lose what we got. We choked out a brother just to thicken the plot. Sugar in the blood, blood on the land. Ain't no holy water gonna wash these hands. Ain't no holy water gonna wash these hands. Made you think what you want is wrong. Feed us more lies, to string us along. In a perfect world we'd understand. All we've got is each other. Sugar in the blood, blood on the land. Ain't no holy water gonna wash these hands. Ain't no holy water gonna wash these hands. Sugar in the blood, blood on the land. Ain't no holy water gonna wash these hands. Ain't no holy water gonna wash these hands. Lies, deception, profit for some, scraps for the rest. Grab a Bible and gun while kings, queens block out the sun. We stare in the mirror, look what we become. Sugar in the blood, blood on the land. Ain't no holy water gonna wash these hands. Ain't no holy water gonna wash these hands. Sugar in the blood, blood on the land. Ain't no holy water gonna wash these hands. Ain't no holy water gonna wash these hands. Sugar in the blood, blood on the land. Ain't no holy water gonna
All right.
Oh.
Love it.
So
And
good.
folks loving it in the comments as well. And if anyone has any questions or comments, Lucas says, or Connie says that banjo. I agree with that. And then funky and very catchy. And someone mentioned, actually, it was Connie mentioned, I want to hear the acapella foot stomping version sometime. And I'm guessing that maybe, I don't know if you've worked out these songs, how you play them live yet, but I know you have some live shows coming up. Have you worked on the arrangements yet for the live duo version?
We have, and they've been quite challenging. But yeah, they're awesome.
Yeah.
No, that
Yep.
song, that song live is taken on. It's kind of fed from the hip hop beats that Patrick's doing, but it's gone down the bluesier route. It's the keyboard and James playing electric guitar. So live, and I'm playing the stomp box. So stomp box, piano, or I guess I'm playing Wurlitzer keyboard on that, and electric guitar. So it sounds much bluesier live, but it works just the two of us.
And I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, buddy.
Oh, and a lot of conversations were had about that. I actually agree with Tom Sherman in the quotes. The depth and the feeling that these guys brought in the songwriting. And we had those conversations. Well, this doesn't sound like Moors McCumber, but should we do it? And my thing was, we absolutely should do anything that feels right. And your audience is going to get 5 different versions of this by however it evolves into whatever it's going to be evolve into. It's going to create a depth a depth of feeling and a magic that is what these guys are doing at the core, which is their instruments, their soul, and their lyrics. And this song, I mean, if ever, it's a timely song. This whole record is of this time, and that's what's beautiful about the record. And this song is part of that. So
Yeah, and I should mention that you might have seen it scrolling on the bottom of the screen, and I'll make sure the link also gets in the comments. But Moors McCumber do have some live shows coming up, and including one that I'm particularly excited about coming up in Minneapolis.
Yeah, our Minneapolis show is with Mother Banjo. We're going to be at the Bryant Lake Bowl on November the 3rd.
I love that place.
Really excited about that. And you have some other shows coming up, so folks can find that on your website, moorsandmccumber.com.
Absolutely.
And also, we were sharing this earlier too, but for folks who are digging the album and you're like jonesing and you can't wait to get it, you can pre-save the album. There's a link on the Moors McCumber Facebook page, so you can check that out as well. So again, if you just tuned in, we're talking about the making of this new record. Obviously, Moors McCumber are here, James and Court, talking about the songs, and Patrick, who produced it, and Tim, the executive producer. And it's so great to have you all joining us. And it looks like Tom's excited for the show.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, we like. I don't know about the snow part, Tom.
Please no, not ready.
It's been pretty nice here, so we'll cross our fingers on that one. But if folks have comments, questions, definitely throw them in the comments. We still have a little bit of time because we got a little bit of a late start here. We're still going to squeeze in a few more tunes before we have to go. So the next song we have queued up is another one that you have a video for, and we mentioned that you have a few videos that you were able to do this year, and they're on this YouTube channel, the Moors McCumber YouTube channel. So if you haven't already, subscribed to the YouTube channel and check out all these videos, and you can check that out. And Greg, I'm going to get to your question in a bit, but first I'm going to ask a little bit about this song, There's Always Something, which is one of the ones you have a video for. Is there anything you want to say about this before we cue it up for folks?
This was another one that wasn't going to get recorded. It was 11 o'clock at night. We were all exhausted. We were done recording for the day. And I said, do you want to just try that one?
And all three of us were like, okay.
Yes.
And Patrick and I were already halfway to the studio.
And what was so great is, just started playing it, and everybody had such great ideas, and you can hear them all perfectly recorded here by Mr. Conway.
No. The best 10 seconds of the entire record is in this song. So.
Okay, so everyone has to listen. Don't tell them what you think it is. We're going to all see if we can find out what the best 10 seconds are. So put on your headphones, guys, and
Love
it. Okay.
tune in. Okay, ready? We'll get this thing going. There's always something.
Always.
There it is. No, that's not it.
We all get ourselves into these things just to see how we'll get out. There's no telling what the future brings. It's easy to say that now, but there's always something holding you back from just diving in. Climbing out of the depths of your hell, one step at a time. There's no better way of proving to yourself that you'll be fine. But there's always something holding you back from just diving in. There's always something there that's holding you back from just diving in. Shudder to think what will become. Change is hard for everyone. There's always something there that's holding you back from just diving in. There's always something there that's holding you back from just diving in. There's always something there that's holding you back from just diving in. There's always something. 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 There's always some just there's always something. There's always something there that's holding you back from just diving. You gotta dive right in. You gotta dive right in. You gotta dive right in.
So good.
I'm waiting for those last moments because it's so
Would-
good.
Would
So
you say
good.
that that producer really took his liberties there at
Yep.
that outro?
Yeah.
And I was fine to do it.
This is where this is the gratuitous backslapping. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, you
humble brag.
Yeah,
The humble brags.
Right.
There's nothing humble about it. You don't have to be humble. You, can
You know what
just
I love
brag.
about this record? I mean, it has happened with all the records, but this one has really lasted for me where I love this record. I really love listening to it. Like we just got the vinyl the other day, so I put it on again and
Show everybody
Just-
that.
I
you?
no, I'm going to break some instrument if I do it, but
Okay.
I love it. And what I love so much about that song is that, you know, I love the Beach Boys and I love the Beatles, and to have represented both of those things and the Byrds all in one record, one song, one of our songs just blows my mind. So Thanks for that, Patrick.
My recollection was that you wrote that within that 9 days. I thought that was like.
I started writing that in Ireland the year before or 2 years before, and it was something that was always in the back. It's one of those songs that just was haunting me. I wanted to do something with it, and Court knew it. We had worked on it before, so
we worked on it in Ireland. Then we played it for our friends in Indianapolis once, and they were kind of like, "Oh, that's pretty cool." And then we didn't really do anything with it until that week, though.
You could tell, like when we were, what's another humble brag here about all of us is when we got into that frame of mind where the way we were working, I really did kind of feel like I could put anything out there and we would make some magic with it. So
that just ruins it for me now.
Well, we don't have anything left, so we used them all.
Well, here's what I think is amazing, because James and I, are usually on the road at least half the year playing 100 plus concerts and doing Ireland trips, and then not being able to do that during a pandemic. So then you get the two of us together a few times in the fall of last year to really deconstruct these songs, and then put us in a studio with 10 days with somebody else that loves it as much as we do. It's basically fantasy camp for musicians.
No drugs needed.
If you can afford to do it. And that's why our buddy Tim here is such an integral part of this. He allowed us to go make this dream record, but also something that we know that we can go tour and recreate live. But the three of us, James and Patrick and I, any idea that happened, all of us said, yeah, go do it.
Yeah.
Whether it made the final cut or not didn't matter. We all said to each other, all right, you're going to sing a fifth harmony. You're going to play a sixth cello part. Go for it.
Tim did sing some lyrics that we decided not to keep.
But
we have them in case
they're lower.
We do have them in case we need them for
they
blackmail
were
purposes
3 octaves
later.
lower, and you guys would have felt bad in comparison. So I understand it.
Right.
So if that ever was in question, the 10 seconds is that cello that starts from its highest note and goes down to its lowest note.
Well, and I was also noticing that you were getting excited with that. Was it the glockenspiel kind of leading up to that crescendo moment?
Yeah.
That was building to it. Yeah.
It's only taken me 12 years to get Court to be okay with a glockenspiel.
Well, once you
finally got him,
I could play one.
Yeah, as long as he could play it, then it was on.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
And while they were in studio, Court was talking about maybe just going out on his own and just Court and
just glockenspiel. Yes.
Well, you were talking about having the luxury of having this time to record and make this record in the way that you wanted to, and play around with these tunes, which again resulted in these beautiful productions that we get on this new record. But one of the ways that was possible too was through your Kickstarter campaign. You had an amazing Kickstarter campaign that it was an ambitious campaign, and then you raised twice as much as you had originally intended.
Hats off to our fan base. Our fans are the best.
So yay! Where's that applause button?
Yeah,
that's what we need
get
right
that
now.
applause button out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, and Tim was really integral in that too, just keeping us communicating with everybody through Kickstarter, and we worked that program all the way through, and our fans really came through for us. So it really gave us the luxury to make these videos, to take this time to release it the way we wanted to. So
yeah,
awesome.
It's really great. We got a question from Greg before that last song that I was postponing because I wanted to hear that song so bad. But Greg Johnson asked, when did Mother Banjo meet these cool dudes? And well, Patrick and Tim, I just met tonight online, but James and Court, James, when did we first meet? I was trying to remember that.
Well, I think it was at Folk Lines.
Yeah, I'm sure it must have been. And we played like a bunch of shows together in Minnesota.
Yes, we did.
Solo
After
shows.
That,
yeah.
But it's been years, 10 years probably.
And then once Court came into the mix, I just remember some late night Folk Lines with salty snacks. That's pretty much what I remember.
Yeah, did we meet before the duo? I think we did.
Oh yeah, that's what I mean. We played some solo
You guys
shows
did.
around Minnesota
it's
before
15
that.
years though. It goes
I
back
do
to 08 Folk Alliance for you two, I think.
Yeah, I do remember sort of a drunken evening that we were raiding a vending machine for salty snacks. Yes,
Pretty much.
That's coming back now. Yes.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, so basically, we've just known each other as fellow
Yeah.
musicians, and I'm huge fans of when James met Court. I knew it was a match made in heaven because I remember the first gig I saw you guys play together, like a regular gig, might have been at the Ginkgo Coffee House in St. Paul,
That could have been.
and it was just so magical. Your harmonies and the chemistry you had on stage. So, yeah, I knew it was love. I knew it was going to last. Beautiful musical
We've
marriage.
been working on a 10 plus year bromance, yeah.
That's right.
And with now Patrick's in the mix and Tim, so it's
Yeah.
we're
got a
we're filling
good-
up the
We got a good team.
man
Good
cave.
family. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, what do you guys have
band.
next? You have this record. You have some shows coming up. Is there anything else you want to let folks know about?
Yeah, there's also an instrumental CD that
Yeah.
Court has put years of work into, and we put a little bit of work into too. It's called Companion Volume 1, and that's also coming out this fall. So
Wow.
that's
cool.
also in the mix, yeah. And then hopefully we'll get back to work with Patrick before too long. But we're going to go out and play these songs for the next year and just try to get all around the world again.
Wonderful. And Ireland, is that going to be coming up again too?
We'll be back in Ireland in May, and with any luck, we might make a little detour down to Cuba in February. So
Ooh.
we've got some plans in the hopper.
Excellent. Wonderful. Well, if folks have questions, comments for Moors and McCumber, we're going to play one more song here before we have to take off. Give folks another sneak peek at this beautiful new record, Survival. The Mess We're In is the last track we're going to enjoy together. Is there anything you guys want to say about this?
I would say, just because I was talking about how if you listen to every Moors and McCumber record, they all hint at what the next thing's going to be. So the end of this next track is an instrumental piece that then leads perfectly into the instrumental record that we're releasing as well. So we kind of we'll always keep doing that. As if you're a fan of Moors and McCumber, or if you don't know us, I would say maybe go back a couple records and listen to those, and then carry on with the new stuff.
I didn't know we were doing that, but I'm glad we're doing that.
You don't need. Hey, none of your concern. You write down the some phrase you hear somebody say. You ghost. Write the next song. Don't worry about that, James.
Don't worry about the hints?
No concern.
Okay.
I was told we were listening to all the records tonight on here.
Oh, well,
are.
no, as soon as we
Yeah, I made
all-
popcorn, and
Yeah.
I mean,
As soon as you guys
I'm
can
gonna
hang
lay
out as
down on
long
that
as you
couch
want.
and,
I was going to say maybe our
did you get a
assignment.
sitter, Patrick?
Our assignment after we hop off here is everyone's going to stream on Spotify on repeat every
Yes.
Moors and McCumber record, right?
Please do, yes, and just leave that on for years.
All
and years.
night.
I should say if folks want to maybe give them more than just pennies, they should consider buying the vinyl or the CD version of the record or any of their other merch at moorsandmccumber.com. Just putting it out
Yes.
there.
Perfect.
Okay. Well, we're going to enjoy this song together. This is The Mess We're In, and new music from Moors McCumber.
A standing stone in a desperate field, a solitary space for your soul to heal, a Celtic cross to remember you by, and a fine soft day helps a man to cry. The mess we're in, the mess we're in. Well, it all comes down to sink or swim with the mess we're in. It's a mess we're in. Connemara ponies on a craggy old shore, in a cottage made of stone with a weathered sturdy door. There's time to read and time to write. I may even remember how to sleep at night. The mess we're in, the mess we're in. Well, it all comes down to sink or swim with the mess we're in. It's a mess we're in. There'll be a time and place for that. For now, I've got to keep it under my hat. The mess we're in, the mess we're in. mess we're in. Well, it all comes down to sink or swim with the mess we're in. It's a mess we're in. The tide rolls in, the tide rolls out. There ain't that much left to talk about. And you've set anchor and I'm set to swim and leave behind the mess we're in. The mess we're in. Mess we're in. Well, it all comes down to sink or swim with the mess we're in. It's a mess we're in. There'll be a time and place for that. For now you gotta keep it under your hat. The mess we're in. The mess we're in. Well, it all comes down to sink or swim with the mess we're in. It's a mess we're in. Yeah, it all comes down to sink or swim with the mess we're in. It's a mess we're in.
All right. Moors McCumber giving the hint of their instrumental record at the end of that song, The Mess We're In. It's The Mess We're In is on the new record Survival. It comes out Friday. You can pre-save it on the digitals. There's a link on the Moors McCumber Facebook page. And of course, you can order vinyl copies, CD copies too, right, guys? From your website?
Yes, absolutely. Friday. They'll all be available Friday.
moorsandmccumber.com, and that's where you can find show dates, including the Bryant Lake Bowl show that we have coming up here in Minneapolis. I'll be opening up for that show. Very excited about that. And and I'm just so happy for you guys. This record sounds so beautiful, and I was listening to it today on my walk around Lake Nokomis, and it just sounds so great. So hats off to Patrick and Tim and everyone involved in making this record. It just sounds awesome.
Yeah, thanks for having us tonight, Ellen. And thanks to everybody for your wonderful comments and support through all this. And we hope to see you on the road real soon. Spread the word.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Any other final comments from any words of wisdom as we all take off here tonight, other than listening to those albums on repeat?
Oh, I say listen all the albums, but then really listen to The Mess We're In, because
We're not doing that tonight?
That sums it all up.
We don't have the pancakes for that, Patrick.
$3 pancakes. They're the best.
Patrick, are you flying up for that show or what?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Nice.
One of the things we've talked about is the importance of listening to this record with good headphones on, because you can hear all the layers of it. It's such a different experience when you have good sound in your ears.
Yeah,
Amen to that.
I would second that. And as someone who's getting to hear it, the raw audio, before it gets filtered through the interwebs and through YouTube, I would very much agree. So whether you're, getting a digital version or getting the vinyl, whatever, do make sure that you get to just sit down and listen. I think that's the treat of doing an event like this, is that we get to just listen to the songs together.
So
And
fun.
enjoy music together in one place, which I think is really special right now. So
Or just come on down to Blue Rock and I'll put it up on the speakers for you. And,
Yeah.
oh
That's the
man,
best experience.
that's the listening party I want to
Oh,
go
yeah.
to.
Me
And then we wouldn't
too.
have to worry about all the technology. At least I wouldn't have to. I can just go and enjoy on the headphones.
Ellen, thanks so much for doing this for us.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Oh, thank you, and thanks for your patience. It was worth the wait, because I'll tell you, these songs are awesome, and I hope folks get to catch it. Someone said, when does it launch on iTunes? That would be this Friday.
Friday.
Right? It
Yep.
will be available on all the digital places, and again, for sale on their website as well. So,
Yep.
and Connie, thank you. Thanks to all of you for joining us tonight. Have a wonderful evening, and let's just cheers Moors and McCumber and the creative
Yay.
team for making it
Cheers.
happen.
Thank you
Cheers.
guys.
Love you guys.
Love you. See
Absolutely.
you soon.
Okay.
Bye.